Welcome to the August 7th, 2025 regular meeting of the Town of Monroe Planning and Zoning Commission. I am Mike O'Reilly, the chairman. If you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll call the roll next, starting on my right.
Dominic Smirglino, alternate commissioner.
Ryan Condon, Commissioner.
Leanne Rosie, Commissioner.
Bruno Maini, Commissioner.
Robert Westland, commissioner.
Nicole Lupo, alternate commissioner.
Thomas Noonan, Zoning Enforcement Officer.
Kathleen Gallagher, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Okay. Thank you. We do not need to seat any alternates tonight. We have the full staff. We'll do next is general public participation. If anyone is here that would like to speak to the commission on any issues that are not on the agenda tonight, please make yourselves known. Come on down. Please state your name and address for the record. And
My name is Don Fry. Live on Silvermine Lane in Monroe, off Pepper Street. The gripe is Grasso Construction. Last Saturday, the 2nd, 5:45 in the morning, they were operating. Woke me up. Windows open, first day, no air conditioning. Monday morning, again, 5:45 in the morning. Went down there, took video, passed it along with the zoning, and two gentlemen approached me. One was a worker, kind of just didn't really say anything much. But the foreman came up to me and said to me, "What are you doing on my property?" He says, "I'm recording you." I told him, I says, "You're not supposed to be doing any work on Saturdays, and you can't start till 8 o'clock in the morning." He got very violent with me, told me, "Go to hell. I can do whatever I want. I can do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody will stop me." Last time I lodged a complaint was September last year. Same thing. Called the police, had it on record. It's enough. It's enough. They just don't care. And my quality of life, I can't sleep. Okay, I'm a light sleeper. And I just don't think it's right. And I think now it's time for something to be done more drastically. And I don't know if it's get DOT there for the truck enforcement, put them on the front door, let them, whatever, make them miserable for them. But can't you guys do anything?
Well, I'm not sure. What do we do?
Yeah.
I do drive by a couple times a week because I'm trying to catch them, not trying to catch them. I'm trying to respond to complaints we've received in the past about them trucking outside of their hours of 10 to 3. So I'll go and I'll sit there, but the truth is that the hours are between 8 and 8:30 in the morning. I'm not there at 5 in the morning. You know, we're not there at 7. We're not there at 6. I'll drive by on my way home, but unfortunately it is within like reasonable 9 to 5 hours just because of our work schedules and things of that nature. I have talked to their consulting engineer. We have talked to them. They've been responsive to some of our comments in the past. They supposedly have security cameras on site that they've looked when we've had some complaints about them working, you know, outside of certain hours. We're just having a hard, we communicate with them all the time. We're just often being told, yes, we're doing this. Yes, we're doing that. With that said, the last time they pulled a blasting permit, they did not comply with the planning and zoning regulations. They didn't notify any of their neighbors. They put the monitoring boxes on their properties without letting them know what was going on. So although they may be telling this gentleman he can't go onto their properties, they're actually going onto other people's properties without giving them proper notification that they're blasting. They only blasted for 1 day. So by the time that we realized what was going on, they weren't doing any more blasting associated with it because it was a 1 day blast. But we had a, very extensive conversation with them about the requirements for the blasting as well. So they are working outside of some of their means. We have had a really hard time actually catching it and documenting it ourselves. The next step would be to enter some sort of citation, but then the question is how do we physically
Can
monitor?
we send a cease and desist at least?
Yeah, we can have them come in front of you guys if you want to.
Let's do that.
You
Things-
direct the fire marshal to stop granting blast permits?
Yes, we can. I mean,
I mean, the blasting is on Garter Road. I'm talking about Pepper Street,
oh, yes, so sorry.
okay?
We have a lot of different complaints. 571 Pepper Street.
It's both.
We're talking about 571 Pepper Street. So sorry, I am talking about Garter because that's also a complaint that we've been dealing with. 571 Pepper Street.
You're not talking about God.
No, Pepper Street.
Pepper Street.
Okay, so
I thought we had things. out.
Pepper Street. Pepper Street was originally going to come in for an application in front of planning and zoning because this commission has approved them for a new building in the rear that they're going to move their crushing operations into the interior of this. This was before both Thomas and I have been employees of the town, but I did review the file. They were going to come in for an amendment to move that building. At that time, we were also going to hold them accountable for some of these other items that were coming in. I have since talked to their consulting engineer and they're on pause. So I don't see them coming in and through. I've asked to have a meeting with them. I've asked to sit down. They're outside the realm. The conditions of the approval said that their stockpile can only be 15 feet, but that's after it's approved. Right now they're in construction. So they have a tremendous pile in the back that they've reduced it a little bit. I would say they maybe reduced it some 10 feet, but they haven't gone down any further than that. So we are trying to get them in for a meeting so that we can just talk about where they are and what they're doing. I don't completely understand if this is part of their construction because they've already done the septic and some of the underwater stormwater associated with the project, or if this is them actually operating as a business.
The crushing that you're hearing?
Crushing.
Okay, yeah,
And once the rocks go in,
Yeah.
they're not supposed to be doing crushing
Yeah, we didn't,
at
No
all.
crushing at all. It's supposed to
I thought Pepper Street, it was being done inside a building.
there's no
But
building.
they didn't build the building yet. So they haven't built the actual building yet.
They can send them a cease and desist order.
Yeah.
Okay.
whatever they use, the machine they're using is I guess a sorter or something. I mean,
Yeah, so there's a difference, and we're having this on, again, across the board, where people complain and say that they're crushing and someone's not crushing, they're actually hammering. Or people will say they're crushing, they're not crushing, they're actually sorting. So it is a little bit, I mean, it still shouldn't be happening in any way, shape, or
45
form.
in the morning. I mean,
Early Saturday mornings.
Can we do anything with the bond?
So the bond is only for soil and erosion control. So like they don't have the bond released until the very end of the project. So, we just hold it onto this point. If you're trying to create a new bond, the question is, what's the grounds of bonding them for it? They're still within their 5 years of their permits. So they're technically still in construction right now, which is why it's such a difficult position of, again, even in construction, they can't be operating at 5 a.m. in the morning, but
we get the police department to issue citations for voice at,
We don't have a noise.
We don't have authority over the police department.
We don't have a noise ordinance.
Yeah.
So if we were to do a cease
for
and
operations.
so if we were to do a cease and assist, how would that impact the neighbors? Like, what would that do?
The question is, you're asking for a cease and desist of what? I still don't have my head kind of wrapped around what they are permitted for their use on the property and what is part of the construction operations. So,
Can we request they come back in front of us?
and that was the hope, is they were going to come back in front of us anyway for the amendment. So that would be the time that we could do this. And we've been trying to set up a meeting with them just to come in to talk to us so that we could say, hey, what are you doing? And really make it clear to them what they can and what they cannot do.
And have they been responsive to our request to come in and meet?
At the moment, no. It's been a combination of a couple things, but at the moment, no.
So we'll get a letter out to them, a cease and desist, that's the first step. So we'll just have to determine what we want to put in a later.
Couple other things. I think we had an agreement with them that they're supposed to come out of the driveway, go left straight to 25, and they were not supposed to be driving through the neighborhoods. So I live on Jockey Hollow. I work from home. all day. There's Grasso dump trucks going up and down Jockey Hollow, speeding, hitting their air brakes, you know. So that's another thing that we should,
That's another item.
and I don't know, and it seems to me, because I drive by that all the time, I work out down the street, and to me, it looks like a processing plant. You know, their stuff's coming in, stuff coming out. It doesn't look like they're building anything.
Kathleen, I think there's way too much material there.
There's way too much material there. We agree with it.
So is there any kind of rule against stacking those mafia blocks up 15 feet in the air? I mean, it's turned into this monstrosity.
Are they pinned?
Yeah, they have a plan.
Well, and that's what, they have an approved plan for bins for stockpile areas. And again, I wasn't here when that application was approved, so I don't know. There's nothing on the letter about additional conditions to kind of like anchor it in place in any other way. But they're technically in construction, although they're obviously operating, you know, under the grounds of construction. So again, that's why it's trying to get them in to understand, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is what you can do under your current use. This is what you can do under construction, and making sure they understand that. And then also us having an idea of, well, if we do issue a violation, what we're issuing it against.
What about landscaping?
There's a significant amount of landscaping associated with the permit.
How long do we have to wait for that? As long as the road they put in? A joke.
Until they're done, they have 5 years to construct it, and they can actually ask for another 5-year extension.
Which at this point, they're not gonna get more than 5 years. Because they're not.
They have to come back before us.
And we can talk about the implications of what that means if we don't allow them to construct.
We will keep working on it.
What are the hours of operation supposed to be?
It depends what you're doing. General construction is 8 to 5, Monday through Saturday, but grading, excavating is 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then sometimes this commission has done additional conditions for crushing and blasting, which is 10 to 3, but I don't think that's associated with this permit.
Can we let the police department, can we officially, like, from us, just let them know, hey, can you check on the truck situation at least?
We have had other residents ask that, or have tried to do that and call them. And oftentimes they will say it's not a planning and zoning matter, or that it's not a police matter, it's a planning and zoning matter. The problem is we're not there at 5 a.m. to answer the phone calls. And sometimes they will write a report, but it doesn't actually get up to us. Because there is some like legality to, if they do give us a police report, it has to go through some sort of legal review to redact anything that, you know, shouldn't be a public record. Because once they give it to us, it's public record. So that's usually not too much with these complaints, but I know that there's a process, and sometimes that's why we don't always get the report.
And the only other thing I remember, the initial approval, part of it involved, dust suppression on site.
Yeah.
That's probably not happening. Is there any mechanism that?
I
the health
actually,
They do have-
I actually witnessed them.
Can the health department go by and?
Yes.
Check.
So they have an active well.
Be a good idea.
We have confirmed that they have an active well on site. They are supposed to use it for dust suppression. We do get dust complaints. So what we tell people is you have to call the health department when the dust is happening. And Amy, who was the past director of health, would literally run out right away. We just hired a new director of health who started a couple weeks ago. She is also very responsive. We're totally on board with her joining the team. She's such a wonderful addition to the team. She's also happy to be very responsive, but they need to be able to go out and see the dust. And what ends up happening is people will call us the next day or a couple days later and say, hey, there was a dust issue on Saturday. And that is a health code violation, which she can enact, but they have to call us when it's happening, not the couple days after. Like, she needs to be able to see it on the windows or like see it in the air.
Bruno, did you have something to add?
On the dust suppression, I've actually seen them physically with my own eyes doing it. That's about the only thing I feel like they somewhat make an attempt. Huh?
You saw it yourself as a commissioner, right? Been doing it, there's no dust suppression.
Yeah, but that's a health department thing, so the health.
No, I've seen them actually spray water, and like I said,
Enforce the fact they needed to have the well to do this suppression, but we can't actually enforce the dust coming into the air, but the health department can because that's a health violation.
One other thing, I believe we restricted the amount of, in size of the equipment they could have on site. Like, they're not supposed to have
How much equipment is on that?
3 excavators, 12.
But isn't that post, I mean, isn't that like once it's in process, or was that a condition during? construction?
No, it was during construction.
Just during construction.
Okay, I can,
Gotta pull that.
I don't think so. I think it was
Was?
It's really hard to dictate what's on during construction.
Haber Street doesn't have surveillance.
Not constructing though.
No, but they're under the guise of construction.
They have a
You can say they're
permit.
not, but they have a permit to construct. That's the hard.
If you pull a permit at your house and you don't do anything, you're still in construction for 5 years.
Oh, you're saying the video of the,
But I mean, we're learning a valuable lesson on in front of us in the future.
They're just.
All right, let's move on. Is there any other
Learning bridge.
members of the public here tonight that would like to address the commission? Any members of the public online, please raise your hand. None?
None.
All right, then we'll move on. Public hearings tonight, first public hearing. Excavation and fill 2023-04-A1, 64 Cambridge and 4 Independence Drive has been withdrawn. Second,
do you want me to read the withdrawal letter into the record?
sure.
Sure. This is from Solely Engineering on behalf of the applicants, Astro Land Holding LLC and Spacely Land Holdings LLC. We withdraw the permit approval modification application for the excavation filling permit EFP 2023-04A1 without prejudice to refiling for 64 Cambridge Drive and 4 Independence Drive. Respectfully, Solely Engineering, Kevin Solely. They also withdrew from inland wetlands. So they at the moment are withdrawn from applications, but they may be coming back in the future, which is why they're stating without prejudice. So we may see them again.
Thank you. Second, SCP 2025-02, 2 Victoria Drive. This is a continuation from 7/17/25.
Yes, he is on and Arnold was on, but now he's off. No. Control delete, sorry, and ask people, local user. Do you want me to log back in?
It's local user.
Yeah, and that's the password. It's just local user.
Password.
Those also written. On a sticker.
Only I could read. Good evening. For the record, Brian McCann, Zabel Schellenberg, on behalf of the applicant Central LLC. With me, I believe online is Matthew Jarmel, the architect. Eller, from J. Edwards and Associates. So the last time, this is a continuation for a special permit for a 10,000 square foot daycare center related improvements. Last time there was some discussion about the floodplain status of the property, as well as any potential risk for the user, the daycare user. And so we submitted a few things. Oh, and there was one other thing. There was a question about the utility and access easement for the neighbor. So we're prepared to address those things tonight. In the items that we've submitted for the record, among them are a emergency response plan for the daycare facility. This actually, although I recommended it to the end user, it was something that I'm told was already in existence, which applies to their facilities across the nation. So there's a procedure for, you could read through the plan, but there's procedures for evacuation as well as reverse evacuation. Here, I think the concern, any concern related to the floodwaters would be evacuation. So they have a place where they would designate a place where they would meet, where they would bring the children in the event of an emergency, and all the procedures going along with checking the facility, making sure that the students that aren't mobile or too young to walk would be gathered and how they would be accounted for, et cetera. One of the commissioners also asked Jason for some of the additional data, the updated data regarding the floodplain. So we've provided that. In Jason's letter, he has some of the history regarding the floodplain, the uses around the site. He explains that at one point it was a camp, an outdoor camp. At one point it was a ball field. But his conclusion was, one of his conclusions was that the site was excavated. It was a staging site for some of the surrounding facilities, including but not limited to the Amazon facility, staging of materials, staging of equipment, and it was in the process excavated lower than its historical land height. And so that's part of the reason why that the applicant is asking for or is proposing to fill the site, create the compensatory basin on the site. But the building will meet the FEMA standards. It is going to be raised 1 foot above the base flood elevation. In addition, Jason has provided, and I think it was a late submission, if Catherine doesn't have it, I think that we have it, a proposal for a flood monitoring device, a flood water monitoring device, which would be installed roughly around the area of the culvert, which would be the lowest possible elevation on the site, which would be, I believe, the most conservative because it has the highest area of flood capacity. And that would be an alarm that would be monitored so that thank you. Yes. Just past the dumpsters, where's the eastern side, and the river is just beyond that farther. And the other thing that he mentioned in his report was that the FEMA data has not been updated since that culvert was replaced. I believe the culvert was insufficient for the flood capacity, but it was increased to a box culvert. I forget what it was before. I think it was a twin 36-inch culvert. Yeah, so it was replaced with a box culvert, which in his estimation should impact the floodplain calculations on the site, because there's essentially no bottleneck there anymore at the Victoria Drive.
If I can just offer a couple of points of clarification.
Yes, please.
One thing you discovered is that in areas immediately north and south of this site, FEMA has adjusted those numbers. And so he is planning to send a letter to see if they will continue to do that for this specific area, largely due to that culvert. In addition, the reason why we are proposing setting the alert at 300 is because that is low and that's 4 feet below. That should give plenty of time for a rising water. I mean, obviously nobody knows what's going to happen for sure, but that if the water is rising at a rate that one would expect, then they will know well ahead of time what they should do about that rising water. And then finally, as far as evacuation is concerned, we considered the possibility that we could elevate the walkway that leaves the building, and that's something that we could do as a condition of approval, just to give them that an extra foot up, say, you know, so that that walkway remains above floodplain as well, or flood elevation as well.
So exactly which walkway are you proposing?
Go back to. So there's a sidewalk that leaves the building and heads out and across to that other parking area. That's the evacuation route. We could elevate that as a boardwalk essentially, to bring it above floodplain if that was a question that the commission had.
Matt, I see that Matthew's on. Matt, did you want to add anything about the evacuation plan? I know it's something you're familiar with.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you. Good evening, Matthew Jarmel. Just to reinforce that the licensing requirements for all childcare in most states, Connecticut included, require emergency plans. And the operator has to have provisions in place to evacuate the building and take the children to a safe location, be it a flood, be it any kind of disaster, natural or man-made, if they need to leave the building and come back and can't come back. So typically there's buses arranged that they're under contract with. They might take them to a hotel or a nearby church or something like that. It's pretty standard in the industry.
And then the last area of concern was the easement that's adjacent to the deferred parking area. So I did take a look at that easement. I submitted an opinion for the record. It's July 29th letter to Chair O'Reilly. This is an easement that was granted by the prior owner, Kimball Land Holdings, to the O'Keeffes. There are actually two grantees. They're adjacent properties. The other property was the Rizzio property. I'm not sure if it still is, but it is to the east of the O'Keeffe, what was then the O'Keeffe property. It's a non-exclusive easement, so there are rights that are maintained by the grantor or the property owner, passes to the subsequent owners, successors, or assigns. It allows utility lines, which I believe there are some there now, as well as access. The access way, I think you could kind of see, which is shaded on the, there's a lighter line on the map there. So I think the long story short is that the property owner retains any of the rights that do not interfere with that access. And it's our opinion that this deferred parking would not specifically interfere with that access. And we also don't believe that it should have to be built. But if it is built, it will not interfere with the existing access to the property owner. That's what we have. Any
All right,
questions?
let's go to the commission. Start on my right with questions.
I have no questions. I guess the only concern with those parking spaces was people backing out into what is inappropriately being used as kind of the bike trail at the moment. Is there any way to make it so the spots can be pulled through and people can kind of park and then kind of drive out forward if need be, or is there not enough room for that?
What do you mean by pulled through?
Well, like if they were to pull into the spot, you know, again, you're not making the spots, but if you were to design, is there a way to design them where they're not necessarily, where there's maybe pavement on the other side of them, so they could kind of park in the painted stripes and then kind of just, instead of backing up to get out of the spot, just kind of drive forward and then pull back out onto the street?
As from an engineering perspective,
Yeah.
problem with that is that you're gonna end up with two driveways that are probably too close to each other based upon zoning rules, my guess, not knowing them off the top of my head, but my guess is that's gonna be two accesses that are too close together. In addition, you can see that dark line is the property line. I don't know that we can fit there before we're crossing over somebody else's property.
Okay.
I think perhaps a better solution would be to try to curtail the bike travel. Hopefully with the upgrades on the actual bike paths.
Yeah,
will
hopefully that's all.
assist with that, but if they're heading up there, I mean, there are a couple issues. Number one, they're trespassing if they're doing it in this location on the subject property. But equally as disturbing would be that they're trespassing through the neighbor's property.
Yeah, and I believe last time
And I
they
think she
said
had
they were.
She had concerns over that. So I think the better resolution, and not to mention with this user, as we've all discussed, there really shouldn't be a lot of public travel outside of the normal bike area, which is going to be specifically protected by a fence. And so what I think the better course would be to have some monitoring of that situation and or establish some signage
And maybe no biking, something
at
like
the,
that.
sorry.
Yeah, maybe a sign that says like no
Yeah.
biking or, you know.
And
no
maybe if we
trespassing.
have it enforced a couple times,
Yeah.
maybe the word will get around and.
And then with regards to the flooding, I think I'm very happy with that alarm system. I like that idea and thank you guys for taking that into consideration.
Good.
Paul Stone, Central LLC. I just wanted to address that one comment. I didn't quite understand what you were saying on the extra concrete, but the way Jason Edwards had designed this would be, in my mind, and what Jason had in mind was just like any kind of parking lot, you know, where you'd have, you know, 90-degree parking and somebody's backing out, it'd just be like any pedestrian or bike or.
Yeah, I think
car for that
what
matter.
Commissioner Condon's saying is that if they're backing out and there was someone traveling on a bicycle, it might be like a blind pull out.
Right, I guess, that's what I'm saying, is it's kind of like any kind of parking lot or anywhere that, you know, in a shopping center, if you're in 90, somebody's gonna be looking in the backyard. That was Jason's intent.
That'd be all right.
They should be checked.
I was
Review mirror, right?
I was piggybacking off of Ryan, and sorry to cut everybody else off, but what if you made those spaces the other way? Just make them the long way,
Way down.
so that you're going a car length behind each other.
Like parallel.
Yeah,
Make a loop out.
so, because then you don't have to worry about backing up, you just have to make an area where people could pull in and loop around, and they just take a spot, boom, 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 boom.
13 would fit parallel.
Right, there'd be a question of whether that would fit, and also just, you still have to turn around in that driveway, right? Like,
Right, but you would-
parallels by parking.
You would, but you would
More
save
complex.
space. You would save space.
How do you mean?
If a car's in this way or a car's in this way, isn't that saving space? If I pull my car in and I'm here, correct? I pull into the spot this way. If I turn that spot this way, don't I save some of this?
I'm not sure I understand what your question is.
You would have more space between where the front of your parking spaces are and the whole kind of access area, right? Because
Yeah.
right now it's what? 12 feet. It'll be-
I don't think there's enough room. You can't, you know, parking spaces are 9 by 18. You parallel park, they can't be 18. They have to be even longer than that because you have to add additional room to be able to navigate in and out of the space. So they would just not meet the parking requirement at that point because they need all 13.
But how many spaces would you eliminate?
They can't,
They have to
technically,
have
they
those-
can't eliminate any.
We can technically.
You can,
So you cut
Your
the spaces
zoning
in half.
regulations
You
say
go
that,
from
but I
9
don't
to
know if
18
it's
to
legal.
18 by 9, you cut the number of spaces in there in half, right?
you get 6 or 7 spaces.
You need a variance for that. I know our zoning regulations say planning and zoning can waive it, but that's how we got ourselves in the jam with the other project is our zoning regulations say we can waive things that we technically can't.
Commissioner, Rosie, you had.
Yeah, how often is that, alarm tested?
I don't know if I have the specs.
Does it test itself, or does somebody test it, or?
Designers use solar power.
I think the easiest answer is that we should come up with something, we'll have that in the emergency plan. I think that makes the most sense.
I think
Like
we
a,
have something.
The specs of the
like a
device.
biannual, like a, a 6-month test or something like
It
that.
is, that's that's something. Seriously. The other question, how long does it take you to get everybody out of that building, you think, to safe ground?
That's a question for Matthew.
Yeah.
So that-
So just so you understand too, they do fire drills every month.
Yeah,
They'll even coordinate that with your local fire department.
Right.
It probably takes about 5 minutes to get everybody out of the building.
okay. So I think that's all I have. I'm just, the alarm thing, if you could do something with that, I think I'm good.
I don't know, do you have further questions?
No, I'm good.
I'm also.
I wasn't here last time, but I want to thank you for putting together all this additional safety measures that I think they brought up last time, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matthew.
Kathleen, do you have any comments from staff?
I'd like to read the exhibits into the record, and I apologize, some of these came on either the day of the last meeting, I can't remember what was announced or what wasn't, but an updated lighting plan was provided on 7/17/2025 by Jason Edwards Associates. A letter from Attorney McCann was submitted on 7/17/2025. A revised planning and zoning report by myself was submitted on 7/28/2029. The ARB referral letter, which was stating a positive referral for the updates to the architectural elevations, which this commission had seen at the last meeting, but they hadn't seen by the time we had the last meeting, was submitted 7/30/2025. A letter to the chair by Attorney McCann was submitted July 30th, 2025. The FEMA information was submitted by J. Edwards Associates on August 4th, 2025. And then the evacuation plan was submitted to us, unfortunately, after hours today. It was at 5:08, and that will be Exhibit 18 into the record. So this commission, you do not have copies of that at your desk. So if you want any copies, I do believe they have some with them tonight, if anybody wants to see that.
Want me to pass them out?
Can you pass it? From a planning and zoning perspective, I have updated my memo. I have no additional questions related to the item of the easement. They satisfied all of our concerns. My biggest concern was just if they built the parking areas in the easement, I wanted to make sure the maintenance wasn't on the who was currently maintaining the driveway at the moment. If for some reason we have concerns about that, we can make it a condition of the approval just to make it very clear that the applicant will be in charge of maintaining the deferred parking area in the future, just so that there's no confusion on who would be in charge of that. They have submitted the updated floodplain information. Jason Edwards and Associates office did a very thorough job at explaining the history of the floodplain in that area. I know they had kind of touched on those facts at the beginning of the public hearing, but they went into quite detail about the way the elevation had changed and how they believe that the volume was reduced. And as we put it back to the area that it's at now, they believe is safe. They are 1 foot above the base flood elevation. which complies with our floodplain regulations. They will be required to do a floodplain permit. At that time, we'll do one more review, but both James and I have done a preliminary review, and we think that they are in compliance with the floodplain. I believe they are also looking to potentially change the floodplain line at some point in the future. So right now, the majority of this building is in it, but it may actually not be in it once they actually go to FEMA. But that's like a 4-month to 6-month process sometimes. So that's just something that they wouldn't have been able to do during this process, but that would reduce the risk of flood, or the assurance that we're reducing the risk of flood even more than that. And then James DeMeo and I had spoke today. He's not on tonight, but I don't believe he had any further comments as well.
So this is the emergency plan. It's like a big boilerplate plan that all that learning experience.
That applies to their facilities across the
general, yeah.
Across the nation.
There is an actual flood evacuation plan here that was submitted, that was prepared for Canterbury Square flood contingency evacuation plan by Jason Edwards. This plan here was drawn up in 2003, and they plan on contacting John Kimball on this plan.
You'd be surprised if you got a call.
It might be. So, the Quantic River floods pretty regularly. It floods up north. Route 25 has been closed. I can recall being closed due to flooding. Floods down south. Trumbull Center has been inundated, closed. I can remember at least one time when it was flooded. And that's a nice map there. It shows blue all the way around. So you've got a little island there that you're going to put a daycare on.
Well, that shaded area is well. It's not.
It's wet.
Yeah. It's
not dry land.
That's not the flood.
That's not
wetland. And it's nice that you have an escape route there, but I just don't think it's proper use to put a daycare on a floodplain, even though you have an escape route. And you're going to call John Kimball.
Excuse me.
Just my feeling, not safe. Especially if you're seeing flooding more regularly across the country and in Monroe. And it's not from hurricanes, which do give warning. It's from freak storms, cold fronts that get stalled and drop 10, 15 inches of rain in one spot. There's no warning for that.
Can I speak to that, sir?
Sure.
Paul Stone, Central LLC. One thing to note for this commission, it might be useful to note the topography. If you can see the topo lines there, if you've been on the site, as you're coming off of Route 25, coming down, it's a pretty steep descent. And so the topo lines are pretty close together. The point being is, even though that's going to be 1 foot above the floodplain, and there's going to be that monitoring, the safe ground is it very quickly rises. When you see on the lower left there, you see the topo lines. It rises very, very quickly.
It does rise. So it's at the bottom of a valley. So it's the bottom of the
high
valley.
ground is not far away. In fact, it's on the property itself. Because if you look right where the parking is, the deferred parking that we think will never get built, that's already way above past the flood line, and it's up quite significantly. It's just a point I thought I'd mention.
Also, Arnold Clark had also raised his hand. I offered to make him a panelist, but he has not accepted. So now I'm saying allowed to talk if he wanted to add any additional items.
Involved in this project?
Yeah, he's the other applicant.
Yes.
Yes, he's the other applicant.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Good evening. We have looked at all this. This is a national firm who has seen the site, been out to the site. They have, numerous facilities in Connecticut, many nationally. Children is their business. So I understand the concern, but these are people who are professional at it, and even without, we made it all clear to them. They've looked at it. They don't think that the site possesses any more risk than any site that they look at. There's always a safety concern when dealing with children. They think flood is much less than some of the others, which is, traffic and people walking into daycare centers and the like. So I understand the commission's concern. On the other hand, this isn't somebody's, one-off daycare center. Paul, how many do they have nationally?
I think it's 400. Actually, Matt, you might be able to.
They have about 430 schools operating around the country and a couple in the United Kingdom. They take care of over 50,000 kids a day. I just want to emphasize the site now is a flood hazard, but after the building, if it's approved and constructed, the building's not going to be in the flood hazard. It's going to be at an elevation that's higher. I just want to reinforce that as well.
Okay, thank you. I guess we'll go to the public now. If there's anyone here from the public that would like to comment on this application, please raise your hands. If anyone online would like to comment on this application, please raise your hand. Seeing none, then any further commissioner comments? If not, we'll go back to the applicant.
I'm just going to add just one quick thing about the floodplain. I mean, while there may be, we've heard a lot of concerns. We think we've addressed them. But I think perhaps the most important fact here is that this is a federal standard that we've exceeded. There's been testimony that this line is being sought to be revised by that federal agency, which will decrease the floodplain, which will change the line outside with this building outside of the jurisdiction of floodplain. But regardless, it's proposed at above the floodplain. It meets that federal standard. And so I would think that federal agency probably makes the standard for a lot of different uses, children, adults, handicapped people, et cetera. So I think we believe that we've presented an application that meets the special permit standards, and we thank you for your indulgence and questions.
You're interested in closing the hearing then?
Yes, I don't think we have anything else. Did you want to do? No, I gave those. You gave, okay, yes, then we're.
Unless the commission, they did submit the final architectural elevations. I don't know. I believe you basically saw that at the last meeting, and I don't think there was any other comments. So unless the commission wanted to see it one more time.
In favor of closing?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, close the hearing. Thank you. Next on the agenda, SCP 2025-03, 126 Main Street, which is continued from 7/17/25. Are there any new exhibits?
Since our last meeting on the 17th, let me.
But you can make.
No, not you, not you, not you. Okay, I think you're good. Since our meeting on the 17th, we had revised plans and response comments by the architecture and engineering team dated 7/17/2025. We had an updated memo by town engineer James DeMayo dated August 7th, 2025. Another set of revised plans that came in today that are on your desks. So they came in this afternoon. So you did not receive that in your packets by the applicant's architect and engineering team that received today, 8/7/2025.
Good evening. My name is Manny Silva from Rose Teasman Company. I'm the civil engineering partner and licensed in the state of Connecticut. Address is 35 Brentwood Avenue, Fairfield, Connecticut. Some of the conditions, some of the things that we me and your town engineer went back and forth on, and some of the concerns. I'll go quickly over what was here at the last hearing. One of them was, how you bypass, so, the fueling truck, when it's in its fueling position. So we placed, James and I thought it would be best to show, a fueling truck in its position and then illustrate that you have about 12 and a half feet to get by that, truck there. Whereas, you probably only need about 8.5 feet to get by. So there's more than enough room there. Another thing, that we went over was to kind of clean up the turning movement, diagram in figures 1 and 2. What we did is we actually ran that through Autodesk's auto turn, software, where it simulates how the moving truck moves throughout the site instead of the DOTs, just templates that kind of make it a little bit harder to visualize how that goes through. So I'll just keep scrolling. So we'll go down to figure 1, which I think is the last 2 pages on the 1 and 2 there. Here's the auto turn illustrating how you do the sweep path. So they'll come in, kind of go right here. This is where that fueling position is, more or less, that we showed on SP1. And then they'll kind of turn around. You can see they clear the canopy, they clear there's no impact on any of the parking spaces in the area. And then that's figure 1. Figure 2 shows the circulation. That one's still using the old templates, but it shows the circulation to the back for smaller vehicles like a 30-foot single unit, which is your dump trucks, not your dump trucks, your dumpster trucks, and then your UPS guys, FedEx guys, things of that nature. And so I think that was what we had. He did submit a final comment letter, which is 5 things that we need to do prior to getting a certificate of occupancy. And I think we've addressed everything with that questions that the commission had and also what the town engineer had. So the additional things.
All right, well, let's see. Commissioners, just start on my left. Commissioner Lufo, any questions?
No questions right now. I wasn't here last meeting, so I'm catching up.
I don't know.
Commissioner Ambrosi.
On the bowers, it's on the pumps. You have them only on each end? Bowers are on the pumps.
Yes.
You have them only on each end?
So there's going to be, let me go back here. That was one of the conditions of the original approval, that we put decorative bollards around all the,
Yeah, but we're sideways before.
yes, yeah. So they're going to be, as you can see here, going to be bollards here at the end of each pump, a series of them.
Yeah.
And then here at the actual parking spaces to protect the building.
Right, and between those pumps, the bowers, what's it, 40 feet? Each pump?
So the pump, here's the actual one too.
Yeah.
There's a set of bollards here. Usually they're U-shaped, right? There's not 2 bollards like
Talking
a
about lengthwise, they're 40 feet between those pumps?
Between the.
Yeah, just about that, yeah.
I think we need to put a couple more.
What's that, sorry?
Those are coming off the road. The road's coming off there, and it's a straight path in. I think you need to put at least a couple more there so they don't take those pumps out on that side.
On this side here?
Yeah.
Okay, like one there, one there,
one there,
one there.
The other one on the end, maybe not, but at
Okay,
least
yeah,
coming in like that. I've seen disasters like that, so
yeah.
you're gonna have to do that, for me anyway. I mean, I don't like the way the rest of the commission feels that. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, we can definitely add them if that need be. Now, these U-shaped ones on the ends.
Yeah.
There was a couple in front of right near our office where someone came off 95 and hit the end of this pump with one of these U-shaped bollards. Dead on. And the pump didn't get damaged. So the car was deflected off to the side. And I don't know if you guys remember this. And then it hit the Cumberland Farms, the face of the glass. And then there was bollards like this in front of that also. That's what stopped
Yeah,
the car from going through the building.
yeah, I just worry about coming off the main road,
Yep.
coming in there and taking
Yeah.
the pumps out, because then,
I'm just giving you an example of one you saw happen at like 60 miles an hour.
no, if we can get that, just on the outside pumps there, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So approximately how many more bollards do you want?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner
That's all I
Conrad.
No questions,
No questions.
but I like the ballot idea.
Yeah.
The only point of clarification that I have been in contact with the applicant's team about is the total building square footage is 14,640 square feet. 4,380 square feet of that is the convenience store, but 10,260 square feet of that is storage, which is very lopsided. You don't need 10,000 square feet of storage. So if the commission is entertaining an approval, one of my conditions of approval would just be that the storage space can only be used for this convenience store. Commercial storage is not permitted in a business district, which is what this is in. So commercial storage in any way, shape, or form is a prohibited use. So to follow up on a previous comment that was made about, is the site overparked? They utilized a commercial parking calculation for the additional storage area for the rear. So I believe that, yes, they do have more parking than they need. However, if they do choose to rent out that space in the future or want to add a use or things like that, I have no objection to them putting in the infrastructure of additional parking spaces now. So it gives them the flexibility of potentially being able to use those spaces for something else, which they'd have to get either a change of tenant for or come back in front of the commission, depending on what's there. They also did not utilize their condition in the code for gas stations that you can use you can use 50% of the parking spaces associated with the fuel pumps towards the retail component of your convenience store. So they can reduce their total count by another 3. So I would suggest that they get rid of the idea of deferred parking in general. That requires an additional covenant. It requires other things. So I believe that they can get rid of the deferred parking, still be in compliance with the parking calculations, and they can move forward that way. So, but the commission does have to understand that they are overparked, and you have to make the determination that you're okay with the fact they're adding additional spaces and what's required. And I take no objection, again, because it gives them flexibility if they ever want to use a portion of that 10,000 square feet for something else.
It's already paid.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be striped then.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, I think it's a good plan. But it was a good plan the first time it came through here. So let's go to the public for any questions or comments to the commission on this application. Anyone here? If not, anyone online, please raise your hand. See anyone? Okay. Any last questions from the commissioners? If not, back to the applicant. What do you want to do? Do you want to close the hearing
Yeah.
at this point?
Thank you for your indulgence, and we have no problem with moving that defer parking. Storage.
Kathleen, we're good? Close hearing?
Yes.
Close hearing.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The final public hearing tonight, SCP 2025-05, is 169 Enterprise Drive. This is a new hearing, so we have a public notice to be read into the record by Commissioner Condon.
In accordance with CGS 8-7D, a public hearing will be held on Thursday, August 7th at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter via hybrid Zoom meeting and in-person attendees at the Monroe Town Hall. SCP 2025-04, file 1668, 169, Enterprise Drive, application for special exception permit for proposed construction of two buildings and site improvements for the use of a stone production storage located at 169 Enterprise Drive, assessor map 094, lot 015/24, 169 Enterprise Associates LLC, R Stone Company LLC owners. Notice was published in the Connecticut Post once on July 24th and again on July 31st.
Thank you, Commissioner Condon. Kathleen, will read the exhibits.
Yes. Exhibit 1 is the initial application and plan set by the applicant submitted on 6/27/2025. Exhibit number 2 is the response from MetroCog and WestCog letters saying that they felt like the project had no significant impact. This is located on the Newtown line, so not just on the Newtown line, but the entire parcel is half. That's not correct, but a portion of it is in Newtown and a portion of it is in the town of Monroe. So both the town of Newtown and MetroCog and WestCog were all notified. Exhibit number 3 is the certified mail receipts that the public hearing was noticed. Exhibit number 4 is the fire department comments dated 7/16/2025 by the town of Monroe. Exhibit number 5 is the planning and zoning administrator report by myself dated received 7/28/2025. Exhibit 6 is the town of Monroe DeMayo's engineering comments. I received 7/29/2025. Exhibit 7 is a letter from the architect. That letter is just stating that the materials on the exterior of the building have not changed since the last application, and therefore I am honoring their original ARB approval since the exterior has not changed. Exhibit number 8 is the MetroCog response. Exhibit number 9 is an updated planning and zoning comment letter, which I issued out today, 8/7/2025.
This was approved. When?
I think the applicant is prepared to go through that, but this was a previously approved application. They never submitted their endorsed plans within 180 days, which rendered the application null and void. In addition to that, they were preparing to make some minor changes anyway, so they would have either come in as an amendment, but because it was null and void, they're coming in as a brand new application.
All right, and to the applicant.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joseph Pivdar on behalf of 169 Enterprise Associates. I'm here with Alan Shepard, the engineer for the project. As Kathleen prefaced, we are presenting a similar application to what was previously approved but never filed in September of 2021. The intended use of the property is, as stated in the application, partially for stone processing and the remainder of the building and potentially the other building. The exact use of the entire project, we're still up in the air on, but we want to build it out with the intention that we will use the entire property. But in the interim, until our needs meet the entire, I'm going to say the footprint of the property, we want to be able to rent out the remaining space for a use such as a contractor bay, a storage bay, or something along those lines. And that was something Kathleen and I have been discussing. And she's provided some helpful input as to the parking calculations, space calculations, and things along those lines, which we're going to sit down after the meeting tonight and address her concerns on that, along with Jane DeMayo's concerns. One thing I do have for you guys tonight is I have an overlay map that Alan put together of the previously approved site plan and building footprint versus now. It's very, very limited in the changes. The previously approved site plan is denoted in blue and then overlaid on the current plan. And for you. So as you guys can see on there, it's very limited in the change. There are some minor changes to the layout of the site and into the building sizes. The primary change in the building sizes is just due to the use and the floor plan of what we plan to do inside and the cost to construct the buildings. The slight changes in the size make the cost more friendly for construction versus previous floor plan was. And then, additionally, I believe there was a few concerns that were brought forth in the letter from James and Kathleen, one of them being Newtown's, I'm gonna say approvals or stance on this project. In the application packet, following the actual application, a copy of the previously approved application and the letter from the sanitarian, because the septic for this project will be partially located in the Newtown portion of the property, but the buildings will be located in Monroe. The state granted approval for the septic to be in 2 different towns, even though it's one property. There's a letter from Steve McGuire, the director of land use in Newtown, stating that we do have an active and valid permit for the wetlands and the water disbursement and treatment in Newtown, which Alan can touch on further in detail if any of you guys have any questions. But in our process of the inland wetlands submission, there was a concern brought forth that Newtown was, they gave us the green light for what we're planning to do, and this is just a letter affirming that I've included in the packet. And if anybody has any further questions, I'd be happy to address them now.
Okay, let's start with commissioner questions on my right.
Will there be any large dump trucks coming in and out?
Yep, so part of how we bring material into the site is via a tri-axle dump truck. We don't anticipate it being a very heavy traffic flow. Previously, when we had submitted the application, we estimated in the neighborhood of 5 to 6 trucks per day at a maximum. So it's not going to be like some of the other operations in town where you might have 40 to 50 plus trucks per day in and out, in and out, in and out. What we do with the material is a more refined process, and it's not, we're not creating an aggregate, we're creating a building stone. So we use every part of the load that comes in, and we seek a much higher yield out of the material versus if you crush it for aggregate or process or something along those lines.
Okay, and would you agree, and I'd like a condition of approval for the trucks to have to come off 25 in and out and not cut through our town?
Yep, we could agree to that, to when we exit the industrial park, take a right to return back to Route 25.
Yeah.
Yep, we can agree to that.
Thank you. No more questions?
So the plan you just handed us, I'm just seeing basically buildings are gonna be smaller and you're gonna maybe have a little less pavement from the initial plan?
Slight abridgment to the back line closest to wetlands, we spread it off, and the buildings are relatively the same size, but slightly different footprint, and just in the shrinkage and the overall width of the buildings, we did use some of these. Between the 2 buildings, 1,500 to 2,000 square feet overall.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And everything is done internal, right, on this project?
Correct, the material is brought in, that's what the storage bins are for, dumped in the storage bins to contain the material. All of our equipment is inside the building, and we have a very clean operation, which it does happen inside the building. Cutting has water which cools the machines that cut the stone and also contains the dust.
Okay, and any waste, you have a waste plan? Is there any waste or no, really? No.
When you say waste, what do you mean by that?
Like stone dust and stuff like that, you're gonna get.
So we would earmark one of the bins for the waste, which then we just transport out like landfills.
So you have a plan for that?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I have.
The stuff you bring in, those are generally like really, like, just walk me through it a little bit.
So
Like, you're not bringing in little rocks.
we don't.
You bring in,
We bring in large, we call them slabs of stone. I mean, they could be anywhere from, I'm gonna say 2 feet by 3 feet to 4 foot by 6 foot, sometimes even larger in varying thicknesses. We take the slab of stone, we get it to our desired thickness, and then we shape it from there on a stone splitter. And then from there, it's sawn to the 1.25 thick for use in a thin stone application, much like you guys see on many projects in the area, whether it be a fireplace or chimney at the top of a building or something along those lines.
so it's like a veneer stone?
Correct. And our stone comes in, like I said, in blocks. We're not getting in, a load of trap rock that we're sorting through. It comes in, sometimes we might have 15 pieces of an entire triaxle.
Now, you're not gonna do any retail sales here?
Nope, so our business is strictly a wholesale business, so everything we bring it in, typically on our own fleet of trucks, process it, and then we have our own fleet of flatbed tractor trailers, we haul it out to retail partners, so it's not like we have a steady flow.
Right, for lack of better terms, you'll sell to a Home Depot or a.
Correct, something along the lines of a Home Depot or, any building, ABC Supply or somebody.
Sure. And so once you're done with creating the veneer stone, you store them?
On pallets, but generally we turn the pallets over within a day or two. So once again, part of our outside.
So you'll have some sort of flatbed
Correct, we have a fleet of flatbeds now where the pallets.
They strap down.
Processed on the flatbed and it leaves the site. And one of the advantages to what we do too with cutting this thin stone is we minimize the waste. So as Commissioner Rosie discussed, there is some waste, but it's kept to a minimum as we try to utilize as much as we can per load. And everything that we have does have a use for the most part.
So that waste that comes off this stone, what do you do with it?
We offer it to outside contractors who haul it away and they use it for either fill or crush at their offset locations. What they do with it is up to them, but they remove it from our site.
If I'm not mistaken, I remember you guys saying that the lot was gonna be kind of flat
Yes.
because of some of the equipment that you drive can't be, and especially with the size of these rocks you're bringing in. Right, you can't have extensive grade, right?
Grade on the slope where it could be to tipping.
Same, so you're gonna go with the same,
Correct, I mean, there is pitch on, we put some pitch in the site.
well, obviously you need some, you can't be perfect.
Specifics of it, but we try to keep it as flat as possible for mainly the safety concern, as you're discussing right there, we don't want to have a tip or a roll or a hazard.
Which totally makes sense to me. You said the septic is in Newtown, but it looks like it's all in Monroe.
The reserve is in
The reserve is in
Newtown,
Newtown.
but the main system is.
Reserve, but it's only that little corner piece that's in, right? Is it
The
not?
reserve, so they have to have basically a duplicate area. If their main system fails, they have to have the same size as a reserve in another location. They're proposing that reserve to be in Monroe, to be in Newtown, and the
Oh, I
main system is in Monroe. Which means they need approval from both.
Sure.
Roughly how many employees do you think you're putting here?
We could estimate it would be anywhere from 20 to 45. And once again, depending on the nature of what our business calls for.
Yeah. And just normal operation hours and
5:30, Monday through Friday, and Saturdays as needed.
awesome. I think this is really cool. I'm all set. Thank you.
My questions have been answered. I'm also.
Just because 2021 was a little while ago. Is the site already set up or does any site work need to be done?
No, in 2021, we seek the commission's approval. We were unsure how we wanted to carry forward with the project, and at that time, everything stalled. The site is in the condition when we purchased it, all that approval in 2021. So the entire site process wouldn't need to have to take place to prepare the site for building.
Okay. And the crushing that takes place inside, how is the noise contained? The neighbors, I don't think there's like any neighbors up there, but will outside neighbors, if there are any, hear any noise or is it pretty self-contained?
There could be noise, but it's gonna be kept to a minimum. Okay. You could hear like audibly, like so say if we were here to the street out there, you could hear something's going on, but it's not, 100 decibel level where it's a nuisance to a neighbor.
Okay. All right. No other questions. Thank you.
What's on the site now?
That's vacant land. I mean, it was cleared and
And you're located in Monroe now, aren't you?
we're located in Bridgeport now.
Bridgeport, okay.
Yes. The previous time that we came before the commission was to seek the approval to be able to purchase the property. Following approval, we did indeed purchase the property, but due to the world being the world, we kind of put a pause on everything and reevaluated, and that's the reason for changing the building plan, the site plan slightly to make it a little bit more cost effective.
Okay. Kathleen?
The town engineer and myself do have some technical questions and requirements in order to make sure it's a complete application. The applicant has stated that they wanted to hear the commission's comments tonight, and then they're going to do a large revision that way. I believe they'll be able to respond to all of them. The only main question that would be relevant to this commission is there was some confusion on what the actual use of all of the different bays in the buildings were going to be. The applicant has stated that a portion of it is going to be used for the stone veneer process, and that in the future, that may expand to either an entire building or both buildings. However, in the meantime, they may get tenants to fill the other spaces, but those are undetermined at this point. So one of the comments that I had given to them today as an update is I just went through all the different I-2 uses that I felt like based on their description of who they're thinking about coming into this area, they may use. And they're going to do a check just to make sure that the parking can accommodate for that. We have run into issues before where an applicant will come in and say, oh, the remainder of the space is going to be warehousing. Warehousing is a very low demand for parking. It's 1 per 1,000 square feet because it's mostly warehousing and not a lot of employees. And then someone comes in with a change of tenant for a permitted use that's can be used in the industrial zone, but the parking demand is much higher and then they can't fit it on the site. So I want to make sure that they are understanding of what they can do and that they also get those uses approved by this commission so we don't have an issue when change of tenants come in. So I outlined that for them today and they will be going through those items. And same thing, the town engineer had several comments and some outstanding comments from when he did a preliminary planning review with wetlands, and they will address that for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll go to the public for comments. If there's any members of the public here tonight or online that would like to comment on this application, please raise your hands. Any members of the public that would like to comment, raise your hands. Seeing none. Any further questions from commissioners?
Last.
That was a question I have in my comment.
On back.
So in regards to blasting, we're not 100% sure how we could comment further if blasting is going to be required to meet the elevation. The only part of the property where it could potentially be is closer to the front, as the front of the property will be a cut, the back of the property will be a fill. And then part of the theory in that is the elevation that for the finished elevation was to keep as much material on site as possible and limit how much has to come in to fill the site in for construction.
Do you have any neighbors who are close? Anybody close?
It's surrounded by an industrial zone, and I even checked Newtown's area. They're also mostly industrial and an
We
industrial.
have a large parcel of state land, and then as Stephanie said, multiple other properties in the industrial park.
So from that respect, I don't think it's too much of an issue, but if you are going to do blasting, we do require a blasting plan be submitted to the Planning and Zoning Commission as part of this process. And then, yeah, oftentimes we will maybe put another condition of approval for noticing, but without residents, I believe that's the commission's discretion.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to leave the hearing open, I believe.
Thank you.
So it will be continued to, we do not have a second meeting in August, so it will be continued to the September 4th Planning and Zoning meeting.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, we have deliberations and determinations. So we have 2 projects that we can deliberate on tonight. The first being to Victoria Drive. So, you all know my feelings on this one.
I think so.
So, discussion.
I mean, I guess I'll start. I like it. It's good. It's fine. Looks like they have a pretty detailed evacuation plan. If, God forbid, there is some issue with the rise of water. And I mean, I think they thought it out pretty well. I don't know. I don't see any downfall to it. So
I think the tenants are, going to need to be cognizant of their location, the fact that they have this monitoring device on site, and be aware that that's a possibility at some point, such as a fire or any other type of evacuation situation. So I don't have an issue with it either. I like the fact that there is a monitoring device on site, and it looked pretty substantial. I thought it was going to be something that was makeshift, but it looked like it was something that's
pretty legit.
Probably been used in other areas. So I'm good with it.
It's also it looked very visible. It's not like an alarm. It has a big sign.
With a beacon.
I would assume that if you're going to sign your kid up for daycare, you maybe check the area out first before you agree to sign them up. Like show up and look at the building, and if you're going to see a sign that says flood warning, that's a decision that parent's going to make. My question is they mentioned kind of like the boardwalk for the raised. Did the engineer look at that? Is he okay with it?
That is the first time we had heard the proposal.
So I mean, I like the idea as long as it doesn't cause other problems like potential trip.
I think I just don't yeah, I think I just don't, you traditionally have a 6-inch curb. I think I just don't understand how that looks like now that you're a foot. You're not required to have a guard per the building code unless you have a 30-inch drop off. That doesn't mean it's not gonna look a little odd to have some sort of boardwalk.
Well, I don't think that they said they wanted to do it. They just said they would do it as.
I agree with Rob. It didn't seem like they wanted to do it. Just an idea.
I would lean in favor of approving.
So on the alarm, did they ever come up with how long it's tested for? We get that?
No.
No, so that's got to be part of this approval in some way.
Testing schedules.
Testing schedule.
I think it should be a contingency that's tested annually.
Say at least annually, in
At
case
least
the
annually.
company comes back and says, no, it should be tested every month.
I think they
Or something
do.
like
I think
that.
they do.
Yeah.
I think it's like automatic. I think it would be, but I'm not sure of that. So I would like to get that, Kathleen, and know that that's being done.
Is that,
That can be a condition.
yeah, we closed the public hearing, so I can't accept any more information at this point.
So,
Could be a condition.
It can be a condition, yes, but I can't get that.
yeah, condition of approval.
Have them see if they could do biannual, so every 6 months or something.
And I would just
Nothing
make sure,
crazy.
I would just make sure it's at least, because we don't want to supersede what either the federal or
Right.
The situation with any of these level monitors is that they don't get used very often. They lie dormant decades on end and they don't work. So somebody has.
I want to test it. I just want to make sure we don't say test it every year, but everything else says, no, it should be tested every 3 months.
Right.
And so just.
So just put in minimum.
At a minimum.
Yes, I just want to make sure it says at a minimum in case.
That includes testing at a minimum once every 6 months.
And I think they're probably going to change the floodplain down there. I really do, because I think it was over excavated at one time. I don't think it is. Have it ever flooded down there?
Not yet.
I don't know.
My recollection.
Not my recollection, I haven't seen, so I understand your concern, believe me, I do. That's why I asked him how long it takes to get these kids out of the building. Get them high ground, he says high ground's not far from there, so you get them on high ground, I think they did a nice job.
They're also raising the building to FEMA standards.
And we're not living on a plane either where, flash flooding happens regularly. We don't see too much flash flooding in this part of the country.
They got the alarm, he said it's 3 or 4 feet lower, he said.
It wasn't even really flash.
Is that what he said?
I knew that was coming.
1 foot.
You know what I mean? And you were on the bottom of a mountain.
The building's 1 foot above, but how is that, the alarm is 3 or 4 feet down?
Yeah, they're keeping that alarm's lower than it
Low, so
probably
it'll
even needs
settle
to
off.
be. Yeah.
Was that a 300 elevation or something, and the building itself was in the.
So I mean, they really, they satisfied my concerns, I just want to tell you that, so.
And the chair will entertain a motion to
Well, can we talk about conditions of approval?
with its conditions.
Yeah, but can we talk about exactly what conditions we're going to include?
Yes.
So, because they do have a deferred parking that has to be part of the approval that you guys are willing to accept the 13 deferred parking spaces as they have shown. So prior to a certificate of zoning compliance, a covenant shall be executed guaranteeing that the owner will provide the additional spaces if the zoning enforcement officer, upon investigation of the actual use of the parking at the site of the deferred parking, recommends to the commission that the approved deferral be modified. I'm adding the covenant shall include language expressly assigning all maintenance responsibilities for the parking spaces and the portion of the driveway leading to said parking spaces to the owners of 2 Victoria Drive, to make sure that none of that is on the neighbor who is, the easement is in favor of. In the event that the deferred parking is implemented, the designated parking spaces shall be reserved exclusively for employee use. We want to make sure the employees are moving there. And that becomes a little problematic because I will tell you the majority of the employees probably have kids in the center. But, I'm assuming the 13 is not all the employees, so maybe they can deal with that.
Also, the parents aren't parking there realistically for a long.
No, so
Yeah.
it's like the employees, yeah, so it's like
Might
to
not-
make room, if for some reason he says, hey, we're getting 1 million complaints that, they can't handle the parking, the employees need to be there, and then the other spaces will be opened up. The town engineer recommends a bond recommendation of $5,375. It's so low because so much of the site is in the upland review area for wetlands that all the bonding is basically carried in through the wetland bonding via their approval. Prior to the start of construction, a highway modification permit will be required with DPW. We are saying no to the elevated walkway. Correct? Is that so? Okay. And
We add,
did you want
bike signs?
Yeah, and add a sign to the existing driveway entrance to deter cyclists stating something similar to no biking. I don't know if that's going to be the wording, but that's how I have it written. And then,
No trespassing because there's an easement, right?
yeah, so no cyclists, no biking, something of the sort. And then the applicant should provide a testing schedule that includes testing at a minimum of once every 6 months. I'm good.
Well done.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve SCP 2025-02, file number 1666. I don't know if I said enough sixes. With conditions of approval.
Okay, motion by Mayini,
Second, Condon.
second Condon. Call the roll, starting on my right.
Condon, yes.
Ambrose, yes.
O'Reilly, no.
Mayini, yes.
Westland, yes.
Motion passes. There you go. Second on the agenda. 126 Main Street. So we saw this several years ago, and I don't think we have any objections to this.
I think just adding those
The bollards.
bollards and I think, draft a letter of approval. You guys, or just move forward with an approval.
Any discussion on this one?
Yeah, I was walking around when this happens.
Do you remember it from the first time?
I do.
You know where?
Yeah, of course. The part that got disrupted and hit L&R, what did they discuss about doing with that wall?
They said the wall was on the neighbor's property. So if you're looking at your truck to the right, they said the wall was on the neighbor's property. So at the moment,
Not their wall.
nothing they can do because it's not their wall.
I just worry about if it's structurally.
But they're adding additional surcharge and things of that nature. I understand that.
Well, maybe they'll talk to the neighbor and come up with a deal to repair it if it needs it or whatever.
All right.
That's what I would do.
What you would do and what the building owner would do are gonna be probably two different things. Just saying.
Any other discussion, guys?
Can I go through conditions of approval? The town engineer did have a couple minor things that he was fine having be conditions of the approval, so it would just be adherence to the town engineer's report dated 8/6/25, including the posting of the bond in the amount of $7,832. Update, site plan and parking calculations to remove, 3 parking spaces, 2 deferred and 1 designated in order to utilize the 3 pump station spaces towards the total parking count. The storage area may only be utilized for the store located at 126 Main Street and shall not be utilized as a commercial storage use. And then add additional 6 ballers along the fueling stations.
Great. So, shall entertain a motion to approve?
Second.
Well, first, someone's got to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
You should learn the process after 30 years. You should know how it works.
Really, bro. That's
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve SCP 2025-03 file 1667 126 Main Street with the conditions of approval.
Okay, motion by Condon,
You can throw your seconds now.
second by Ambrose. And then we'll call the roll, starting on my left.
Westland, yes.
Mayini, no.
O'Reilly, yes.
Ambrose, yes.
Condon, yes.
Okay, motion passes. There's an approval. All right, so that's it for deliberations. We do have a couple of new applications that Kathleen would like to inform us of.
Yes. 1603 Monroe Turnpike, in the September 4th meeting, we'll be hearing a site development district application for that property. That is the existing Mondo property. They have merged 1603 and 1615 Monroe Turnpike. So properties that are located on either side of an access driveway.
Why is it a special design district?
So they are a contractor that utilizes excavation. So they're in a business district, and in the business district, we don't have an approved, the contractor's trade establishment specifically says it does not include anybody associated with excavation. So because they have that additional.
This is a proper use of the SD.
They have an original permit from the 80s. 90s, they have a permit from the 80s or 90s, so their approved use as they currently use it in those buildings, we do honor as a grandfathered use. I don't think they're in violation, but because they're looking to expand the use so significantly to the other side, it's too much of an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use that they need to get the other area permitted. So the best way to do that is to do a special exception permit, and then we legalize their use, as they currently have it now via an STD. And then at the same time, they'll come back for a special exception permit. Obviously, they have to submit conceptual plan at this point, but then eventually they'll come back for a special exception permit. In addition to that, they're rectifying multiple violations, including expanding, again, their use to storage areas that they did not have permitted as part of the original plan. Both across the driveway and in the back of the existing buildings. And then those are also wetland violations that they have to rectify with the Inland Wetland Commission at the same time.
So it's a B2 now?
It's a business district now. I believe it's a B2.
All right. And then,
The second item is 1536, 1564 Monroe Turnpike. You'll notice that there is not an application number associated with it at the moment. That is a resubmission of the cluster subdivision application and special exception permit that this commission had heard and rendered a denial earlier this year. They have since done an extensive hydraulic analysis by WSP and a well report in order to address one of the main concerns and the main reason for the denial, which was the potential impacts to the wells on the neighbors. I have spoken to the town attorney about whether we can accept an application that was denied by this commission in such a recent time period. He said the commission needs to make a determination that the additional information provided renders the application substantially different than the first application that they had heard, so that the additional information basically makes it a different application and the commission is comfortable hearing it. They were supposed to be on for tonight to present that, but due to sicknesses and some conflicts, they didn't have a big enough team to be able to present it properly to this commission. So they will be coming back for the September 4th meeting. And at that meeting, it's not a public hearing, it's not anything like that. It's literally just a vote by this commission if you're willing to accept it and hear it as a public hearing. If you say yes, we'll give it an application number and we will start the public hearing process. If you say no, everything just gets returned back to the applicant.
okay, thank you. We have meeting minutes, 7/17/25. Shall entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes.
Motion to accept the meetings on 7/17/25.
Any discussion? Oh,
There was a
sorry.
second.
There was a second.
Weston.
Any discussion?
No, sir.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, unanimous. Meeting minutes passed. Zoning planning matters. We have first the bond release of 1585 North Turnpike.
So this commission may understand this more than I do, but when the Stevenson Business District 2 zoning district was approved, there was a condition of the approval that they had to install a landscaping plan along the road that came in. So there was a master landscaping plan associated with an approved zone boundary change.
It looked nice, lots of pine trees, the whole thing.
So as part of that, a bond was issued for $22,000 for that work and for that stabilization. So that has been outstanding. So they have installed the planting this summer, and they are asking for the bond release of $22,000. I had our wetland enforcement officer, who has a very extensive landscaping background, go review the plans. He agreed that the species are what was approved on our approved plans. His only concern is that there's a series of Amelanchier that go down that look like they installed it and then probably let it sit for a week or two without watering it, and then they put water bags on it post. So he says they're still viable as long as they do the right thing, you know, through the summer, this growing season and next growing season. He believes that they can absolutely come back, but he said they're definitely more distressed than you would expect them to be, only being installed for a couple weeks. So it's at the discretion of this commission if you feel like releasing the bond is appropriate at this time, or if you want to hold it for another growing season or two to see how those trees, if they remain viable.
Well, if he feels they'll come back,
He says as long as you do the right thing, they're definitely available to come back. He doesn't think it's a replacement. He thinks it's, you have the right person doing the right thing and they'll definitely come back. But he said they are very much stressed beyond what you would typically see this early after planting.
Answer that. I mean, I like that.
It's a good proportion of, like, I think his concern is this because it's part of the main trees coming down the like road that's blocking it on either side. So it's a substantial part of the visual interest of, you know, what was there.
I think we need to give it some time.
Absolutely agree.
so not approve the bond? Is that what you mean?
Maybe.
I agree. Make sure, otherwise we don't have any.
Once you give back the bond, you have to know.
Correct, you're done.
Or you could do a partial, can do a partial.
That's an option too.
Now, half when the trees are growing?
What is the bond?
What's the total amount?
22,000.
So give them 11. People like,
Do that way.
It is a surety bond. It's not like cash.
That's fine.
I'm just saying that, like, if it's a cash bond, that really does a lot, you know, to give someone actually cash back. But if it's a surety bond, you know, that's just.
It looks like we're.
well, if it's that, then just hold on. We can hold on to it for a growing
We want
season.
to make sure that we get what we.
So what, a surety bond is what, a promissory note?
Yeah, with the bank, you know.
Then hold it.
Okay.
Yeah, some we want to wait.
Do we need to vote on
One
that?
growing season.
As long as you feel like you don't have, everybody's in compliance, I don't think you need to vote on it. Just give me some direction on how long you want to
Hold it for a growing season.
hold it until next spring.
Well, no, you got to get longer than this.
Well, you know what they need to do?
He can, they kind of submitted it.
Okay, just to say they know what to do.
Yes, yeah, we'll absolutely
Okay.
write them a letter.
Maybe a year.
If you do them to not know, and then.
No, we'll write them a letter letting them know.
Not the spring.
They come to my
Fall,
house.
fall.
You want it one
Yeah.
per year.
Fall.
I mean, I consider the fall a growing season and the spring a growing season.
Yeah,
So,
we'll do it back to them in the fall.
okay, so
A year from today.
a year, yeah. So not fall of 2026.
Yes.
There you go.
This is another Kathleen, roof material change.
Can you do
150 Main Street, Chuck's Corner.
me a favor? Pass these out. So what you, sorry, they're like two together. So it's the report and then this one. So yeah, like that's a packet and go through. So what you're being given is my report, which we'll go through later in the agenda. And then also visual images of 150 Main Street, Chuck's Corner. They have an application with us for a minor site plan to replace the material on the roof at that building. It can absolutely be approved administratively through a minor site plan, but because it was such a large architectural change because of the shape and the roof line of the roof, I did want to bring it in front of this commission to see if you had any comments associated with it. It's currently a wood shingle roof that has a substantial portion of the roof forward facing to Main Street. They are proposing to change it to a metal roof. They're keeping it in the same color palette as being gray. It's very much muted, but it is a substantial material change. And I just wanted to know if this commission had any comments prior to me approving it.
I think from an aesthetic standpoint, if you think about the building, the old Edgerton maintenance building across, well, it's where Hair Attraction is. They have a metal roof on that building and it's completely discolored and it looks terrible. I don't know if the materials, if the the composition of the materials has changed since that one was put up, but this, like you said, is a much more visually,
The umbrella roof, it's right in your face.
yeah. And what, I mean, as a roofing guy, what other options do you think would?
I mean, so when you look at it now, it's that wood, the wood shingles.
Yeah,
and
the shape,
That's not taken care of, so
Right.
that's why you see it
They haven't.
all curled up. I like the metal roof idea here. The paints have gotten better on these metal roofs, to be honest with you. Are they gonna discolor over the course of time? Of course. It's just like siding.
But that other building, literally, the color's gone.
Yeah, but these can always, you can always paint these later on down the road, and they've made the paints that now adhere to the metals. These are gonna be aluminum panels, so the paints that adhere to the aluminum are much, much better now. But you're right, that Edgerton building does not look great. But, over the course of time, everything's gotten a little bit better, so these, I mean, I'm not gonna tell you it's not gonna fade, because it is gonna fade.
But it does look better than
It does look better.
the other roof.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's gonna pick a darker color, so as it
Gonna absorb more sun, right?
It will absorb more sun, but as it discolors, it'll get lighter and lighter and lighter, so it won't be like a gray to a light gray. It'll just be from just a dark slate gray, brown basically to, in 20 years, it's not gonna look nice, but as of today, it'll look a lot better than what's currently there.
Anybody else?
No, I'm okay with it. Okay.
They do
Okay, so sounds like we're generally okay with it, and I'm gonna move forward with a minor site plan approval.
Can you find out how they're gonna install this? Are they gonna install it, are they gonna clip it together or are they gonna screw it together?
I do not know that, but some of the building department might have information on, and I can find that.
The screws are the ones that you see all the
Do
screws.
you have one you prefer?
Oh, I'd rather them clip it together,
You'd rather clip it together?
because it's all internal. You guys know what the screw ones look like, right? You see the heads of the screws and like going up and down. I'm assuming if they're doing a standing seam like this, it's gonna be an internal system that you won't be able to. They're locking on the front and on the side pieces.
All right, correspondence, we
That's
have
all I got for you.
none. Commission reports, I have none.
I do have something.
Go ahead.
I don't have the address unfortunately, but, oh, maybe I do. Is it, I think it might be Legacy Lane, the new development over on 111.
Yes.
So there's been 2 motor vehicle accidents there, and both have cited that there is a issue with the sight line because there's been some overgrown brush getting out of the street to the left.
Okay.
So if we can maybe just talk to them about making sure. I know the last motor vehicle accident, where it was tenants that were buying a property there, and they said they were going to complain to the developer and let them know, hey, you can't see. But it has been 2 significant accidents.
Then we have 2 land use staff reports. Who?
Yeah, I will try to make mine quick since you haven't had the pleasure of speaking with Thomas. This is just a summary of the current building permits that we have from a residential perspective. Legacy Lane has some single-family homes. The 4-lot subdivision on Spring Hill Road that was previously approved. I believe all 4 lots have been bought and are in the process of getting applications. If not, all of them have had approved applications. Do they all have approved applications?
One of them does not.
Okay.
261 does not yet.
So there's one outstanding, but those continue to be developed as well. And then just it's deck and pool season, so we continue to get items like that. Certificate of occupancies, 685 Main Street, which is officially the Dollar General, did receive a CO earlier this week and is open for business. They did a really good job on their site work. The site looks good, is very clean. We appreciate the way the building is set back. The height of it, I feel like actually really fits into the surrounding area. So we're actually really pleased with the way that that building came out.
Kathleen, what happened with the sign? I haven't been by there.
They have not put in the sign in the front, but they have agreed to do a monument sign instead of the pole mounted sign. So we're very appreciative for that. They actually already had the top of the sign manufactured. But we're willing to deal with the mounting of it to make it significantly lower. So that will be a significantly lower sign than a lollipop, for lack of a better word, sign. Home occupation permits, these are for residents in the area that they can continue to come in and operate small business out of their homes, which we are fully in support of. And then several change of tenants have come in over the last month as well for some of the existing buildings in the area. And then the last item is just to schedule subcommittee. We have several people who are looking to be on the agenda. At our last meeting, we had decided to push that off to this meeting until we had a fuller agenda, and I do believe we have a fuller agenda at this point.
Is the 447 Monroe Turnpike the actual Bacon Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Sushi. That's awesome.
We don't have that down here at all.
Like that's in the
Sushi?
Yeah.
Well, the only other places that just opened up in Trumbull, across the border, there's a old Sakana movie.
Okay, and it's good, by the way.
It is. They do like a cucumber thing. It's very
good.
Well, hopefully this place will be better because it's wrong.
I know, people tell me they go to Sweet Mango too in Newtown, that they go the whole way.
They do, yeah, that's very popular.
Yeah, that people go from there, so.
Wanna do Monday?
They deliver.
We actually do, we can do Monday, or to be honest,
Monday what?
So stop talking about sushi.
Say it again.
we don't have a second meeting in August, so we could also do the 21st if people generally.
Monday,
No, Thursday, the 21st is the regular meeting date. I mean, either
You
or.
want to do it on a
I
Thursday?
won't be here that day, but don't do it.
Well, the 21st is when we normally would have this meeting.
Yeah, we just don't have, I'm just throwing out options. It doesn't matter.
These kids.
Okay.
Be away.
We can also do Monday,
It hasn't opened.
any Monday.
I can do the 25th.
There's another
I
place.
cannot do the 25th. My son moves in to school.
21st?
This would be a second location.
What about the 18th?
I can't wait to move him in.
I'm not gonna be.
I won't be here that whole week.
Okay.
Actually, if you do the 25th, I will be back around 6. But you don't overly need me anyway. If everyone else-
21st,
25th.
Thursday.
21st works for me,
Could be there.
or
21st I'll be here.
25th too.
21st, okay, now, haven't seen you there. And kind
Yeah.
of missed you the last.
Yeah, you've been skipping a lot of subcommittee.
Wow, you weren't there. I don't think.
No, that's not true. That's not true. You miss a lot of meetings.
Yeah, perfect.
True story.
So we did say 21st.
You should show up to, you should show up to a meeting or two every once in a while.
There.
What time do you want to do it? 5:30, like we normally do?
Yeah, either or.
Let's do it early.
It's on the 21st.
Yeah, hopefully you show up for it.
It's a Thursday, right?
Nice if you came to one.
So the 21st, Thursday, the 21st
5:30?
at 5:30.
Sounds good.
The record on that.
Some sushi.
And I know people have been saying this in jest, but we have had some low turnout for the subcommittee meeting. So the hope is that we do have a,
Noted, and hold on.
We've had a low turnout for the subcommittee meeting, by the way, so we hope that everyone will show up.
we have just heard some complaints by the applicants that some people that are vocal on this commission aren't actually at the meeting, so they're not able to
Oh, really?
Disgusting.
hear what they have to say.
We have,
I'm not on the subcommittee. They're talking about, they're talking about me. Oh, okay, cool.
talking about the guy with the gray hair.
I'm not on the subcommittee.
We don't show up much.
People expect to see you there when you're not there.
It's just.
Shows
I don't want to see my ugly
It
face.
shows
Let's talk some crap.
Yeah.
So sushi people would be at the subcommittee?
All right, and Thomas is up.
Thomas, it's been so
We'll be back.
quiet and patient.
So this is the enforcement actions report for
Just gonna go.
June up through today. 177 Old Zor Road was sent a request for compliance regarding the outdoor parking of an unregistered, potentially a junk vehicle. It turns out the property owner is restoring a vintage car and originally had a permitted portable garage covering it that was damaged. And the portable garage has since been replaced and the vehicle is now screened from the road. And please feel free to interrupt me if you guys have any questions, obviously. 173 Jockey Hollow Road, a request for compliance was sent regarding a moving pod, one of the storage pods, a mattress stored in the front yard and a vehicle parked on the lawn. Turns out the property owners are an elderly couple. There was a house fire that happened late in 2023. They've been living in a hotel outside of town for the better part of this year. They recently were able to move back in, but there was still an issue with getting a CO for the attic, which is why the storage container is still there. Mattress has since been removed and the car has been relocated to the driveway. And so I'm going to be a little lenient with them considering their conditions with the.
Just that one?
173 Jockey Hollow Road.
What's the problem with the attic? Do we know?
I'm not too sure. I'd have to follow up with the building official. 249 Wheeler Road, a request for compliance and a notice of violation was sent regarding the storage of commercial vehicles on the property and persistent garbage in the front yard. After the notice of violation was issued, I talked to the property owner. They're new to Monroe. They had a dump truck on the property that since has been removed. They have a box truck. The transmission will go blue when they were moving in. So there needs some time in order to fix that, to remove it from the property. During a follow-up inspection, I noticed that the entire front yard was stripped of the grass and all the trees in the front yard. And they were building onto an existing detached garage without an approved certificate of zoning compliance or a building permit. So they were issued a second notice of violation for the clearing of the land without a zoning compliance certificate. And for the garage, the building official also issued a violation as well because they don't have any permits either. So they need to install a silt fence on the front property line to help with the erosion control since there's no grass established. And they do need to apply for building permits and zoning compliance. I also observed that there is male poultry in the rear of the property, along with some female poultry. The property isn't large enough for roosters, so they do need to remove the roosters, and they said they would comply with that. So it's a very interesting property right now. 73 Gaybauer Road, a request for compliance was sent regarding blight in the form of a seriously overgrown lawn. The property owner passed away a couple of years ago, and the house is currently in probate, so it was very tough to get a hold of who is currently in charge of it. However, I was recently able to speak to the future listing agent, the real estate agent, and they have since cut the grass and will continue to maintain it until it is sold. 13 Sherman Circle, request for compliance was sent regarding blight in the form of a seriously overgrown lawn. Property owner is elderly with a fixed income and has health conditions which make it difficult for him to maintain the yard himself. After working extensively with our senior center and even the property owner's church, We were all able to get the lawn mowed recently, and we have a plan in place to mow it a couple more times this year without any expense that the homeowner will have to incur. 395 Crossville Road, a request for compliance was sent regarding an overgrown lawn, and the lawn has since been cut. 153 Cottage Street, a request for compliance and a notice of violation were sent regarding blight in multiple forms, including outside storage of junk, collapsing or missing walls and roof, seriously damaged or missing siding, persistent garbage and trash on the property. New owners from outside of town bought the property a couple of months ago, and they were starting to build a second-story addition onto it without any zoning compliance or building permits. There's also wetlands on the property, so there was no wetlands permits either.
I know that house.
Yeah, exactly. The house is a mess.
Yeah.
The building official said it probably is going to have to be condemned. There's really no way that they could build on the existing foundation right now.
Abandoned for like 20 years.
There was an older gentleman living there,
Kind of, sorry.
and he recently, he sold it. I believe he moved to Florida. And I'm sure they bought the place as is. They probably thought they were getting a deal, but yeah, it's a tough situation for them, but they do need to clean up the property. And I haven't heard back from them since either the request for voluntary compliance or the notice of violation. So I will stay on top of that. 33 Mustang Drive, a notice of violation was sent regarding the clearing of the 2-acre property without any zoning approval. There is a water course and potential wetland soils present on the property. No silt fence was installed. I have not heard from the property owner yet about what's going on there. They have until August 11th to respond. 216 Cutler's Farm Road, a follow-up notice regarding the citation of zoning violation, which was originally sent last year in August, on August 12th, was sent to inform the property owner that there has been no resolution to the violation and that daily fees have been accruing since September 11th of 2024, currently totaling $49,350 in fines. This follow-up notice provides the homeowner with a second opportunity to appeal the citation and go in front of the citation officer to let the citation officer take it from there, pretty much. So the homeowner has until August 14th to request that hearing.
If they don't?
If they don't, the matter will have to go in front of town council for legal action.
And this is the house that's kind of behind another house, right?
This is the house that's in front. It's front property, and then there's an interior lot too.
Got it, okay.
The back lot was getting flooded by.
That's right.
Yeah.
Moved a bunch of land.
Yeah. 121 Walnut Street, a notice of violation was sent regarding blight in the form of junk vehicles, junk vehicle parts being stored on the residential property. The original request for compliance was sent December of 2024. Initial progress was made. I spoke to the homeowner several times about cleaning up the property, but he just hasn't done enough. And there's still several junk vehicle pieces remaining on the side of the house without any proper screening. So the notice of violation was sent to hopefully they can clean up the property. I have not heard back from him yet after the notice of violation was sent. 165 Williamsburg Drive, a request for compliance and a notice of violation were sent regarding an unpermitted shed installed on the property and the housing of poultry. I was told after the request for compliance was sent that the shed would be removed because it does not currently meet setback regulations, but it has not. And several times I requested inspections of the property regarding the poultry with no response from the property owners. The property owners did receive a citation back in 2020 regarding the same issues, an unpermitted structure, housing far too much poultry on the property. And so it looks like we're just circling back to those same issues. 58 Hiram Hill Road was sent a cease and correct order regarding unpermitted shipping containers, the parking of excessive outdoor vehicles, and running a courier business from the property without any zoning approval for any of these uses. Property owners have come into town hall twice to ask how to legalize their shipping containers on the property, but both times have failed to submit an application for zoning compliance. 30 Williamsburg Drive, a notice of violation was sent regarding blight in the form of seriously overgrown lawn. The lawn has since been cut. However, a cease and correct order was also issued regarding the recreational vehicles in the rear of the property being used as a residence and the blighted premises in the form of persistent garbage and trash on the property. 431 Pepper Street. We recently received an anonymous letter sent to the Planning and Zoning Department regarding an outbuilding, which was a shipping container built into a barn with a tarp being used for the roof. And it was supposedly being used as a residence without any electricity or running water. An inspection was conducted on July 25th by myself and the chief building official, and it was determined that there is no evidence of the outbuilding being used as a residence. The building in question is being used to store various tools and materials. 604 Main Street, a follow-up notice regarding the citation of zoning violation, which was originally sent in January of this year, was sent informing the property owner that there has been no resolution to the violations, and daily fees have been accruing from February 20th to May 7th, totaling $11,550. We stopped the daily accrual of the fees on May 7th because they were in compliance for a little bit. A week they're in compliance and then they continue to fall apart. So as of August 7th, daily fines have started back up. And the notice provides the property owner once again with a second opportunity to appeal the citation to the citation officer. He has until August 18th to request a hearing. And the last page is interesting that it was brought up about sightline issues. I haven't heard anything about Legacy Lane, but I've worked with DPW and the town engineer, especially over the last couple months, about several sightline issues in town. So this just kind of highlights all of those issues that we've kind of cleaned up or in the process of cleaning up, including 63 Fan Hill Road, the sharp curve right over here, where there's overgrown landscaping that's in the town right away. Spoke to that property owner. He's going to trim the landscaping back to become compliant with our zoning regs. 7 Turkey Roost Road on the corner of Turkey Roost and Fan Hill Road. There's landscaping causing a sightline issue. Their landscaper is currently working to try and trim back the landscaping so we don't have to remove it completely. And I've been in constant communication with that landscaper to make sure it is compliant. 5 School Street on the corner of School Street and Oakwood Drive. There was landscaping that was creating sightline issues. The property owner of 5 School Street has since trimmed all the landscaping and vegetation to remediate the issues. 295 Barn Hill Road, an actual notice of violation was sent regarding blight and sightline issues regarding overgrown vegetation on the corner of Barn Hill Road and Summerview Drive. Property owner is working to clear the overgrown vegetation himself, and that's an ongoing project. 49 Walnut Street on the corner of Walnut and Tulip Drive. Property owner has removed several bushes that have been causing sightline issues. 6 Owl Hill Road, this request was just sent today, but that's on the corner of, actually that's a typo, I'm sorry. But Owl Hill Road just was sent a request for compliance today regarding sightline issues. 91 Wheeler Road, this was earlier this year, overgrown vegetation causing issues for neighbors on the exiting driveway. That has since been resolved. 679 Main Street was earlier this year, overgrown bushes causing sightline issues on the corner of Main Street and Hillcrest. That has since been resolved. 596 Monroe Turnpike on the corner of Jeanette Street and Monroe Turnpike. They have done their best to mitigate the sightline issues, but that's still a work in progress. That is a tough one.
Bring that one up.
It is.
And several people have noticed that some of these have gotten resolved, so then they come in and they put in for more because they said, they've noticed that, the sightline issues have been resolved, so here's some more that they hope can get done as well.
Well, I mean, Legacy, I just assume the road's not being utilized that much yet. I think it's just been people coming to visit the new houses that they're in.
They do have COs for a large portion of the houses. So there are active residents coming in and out of that. So no, that's a real concern that it's not just.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's just kind of like overgrown, and I can't tell.
Is it on the left or on the right?
So if you're pulling out onto if you're looking at it's on the right. If you're pulling
Okay, all right.
Legacy on
Easier to
the
do
left
on
side.
The left, because the left has to do with.
And it might actually be the neighboring property too. I'm not sure if it's actually their property or if it's the neighbor property.
Okay, all right.
We can take a look at it.
We'll definitely look into
Cars
it.
are flying down 111 and they
Yeah.
creep out and it's been, I believe, two T-bones that happened there.
We also issued a violation on 846 Main Street, which is the property of what was supposed to be the future Roadrunner. They started clearing trees last year without a certificate of zoning compliance. We had given them a cease and desist order. They were told they had to stop. They were given a list of the conditions of what they had to do to get a zoning compliance certificate. They started doing that last year, and I would say everything kind of dropped off in October. So we did issue them a notice of violation. If they're not going to comply with the certificate of zoning compliance, they got to do an extensive replanting plan because they took down
A lot of trees. What is their,
all the trees.
what is their deal right now?
I keep asking them and I can't get an answer, out of them. So I have followed up with them several times asking what the status of the project is. And they had told me last year that they were working on it and then they haven't responded to any of my inquiries this calendar year. We did meet with them for a pre-construction meeting in October. They submitted the final endorsed set of plans. They were making progress last year. And then by the time, winter ended this year, everything kind of fell apart. And I reached out to them a couple times and haven't gotten a response.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at
Fence there on the left.
9:06.